Namaste, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a fascinating, honestly deeply complex, and very often misunderstood topic. We're diving into the legal landscape of cannabis in India. We're going to explore the incredibly strict laws, the heavy limits, and, well, the rather incredible loopholes that actually exist across the country. It's literally one of the most highly searched questions on the internet today. And, it's really easy to see why. India has this staggering paradox right at its core. You've got thousands of years of cultural history totally intertwined with the plant, sitting right alongside incredibly strict modern prohibition. It leaves tourists, students, and even businesses just thoroughly confused. So, to make sense of this, here is how we're going to navigate this legal labyrinth. First up, the Great Cannabis Confusion. Second, we'll get into the NDPS Act explained. Third, we break down Ganja, Charas, and Bhang. Fourth, penalties by the gram. And finally, fifth, hemp and medical cannabis. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Great Cannabis Confusion. This right here perfectly illustrates the massive divide. On one hand, ancient texts detail cannabis being used in spiritual rituals and Ayurvedic medicine. I mean, even today, during major festivals like Holi and Mahashivratri, devotees openly consume cannabis, very often in devotion to Lord Shiva. But this widespread cultural tradition, it creates a huge false impression. Because legally speaking, recreational marijuana remains strictly prohibited under national law. So the short answer to legality, it's a firm no. Moving on to Section 2, the NDPS Act explained. This was the big 1985 turning point. You see, before 1985, India actually had a highly tolerant approach to a plant that had been used for literally centuries. But international pressure completely changed the game. In 1985, India signed the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs, which is a UN treaty, and consequently, the Indian government had to swiftly introduce the NDPS Act to control narcotics and really curb trafficking. So, almost overnight, centuries of tolerance just shifted to absolute prohibition. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is exactly how this law was written. The NDPS Act specifically states the government banned the production, possession, sale, purchase, transport, and consumption of cannabis flowers and resin. Notice those last three words? Flowers and resin. This highly specific wording created the defining legal boundaries, and, as we'll see, a rather massive loophole. Which brings us nicely to Section 3, Ganja, Charas, and Bhang. The famous biological loophole. First up, we have ganja. By legal definition, ganja refers specifically to the flowering or fruiting tops of the female cannabis plant. These are the parts that contain higher levels of THC, the psychoactive compound. Under the NDPS Act, ganja is heavily restricted and classified as an illegal narcotic. Possessing, selling, or consuming these psychoactive flowers is a serious criminal offense nationwide. No exceptions. Next, we have charas. This is the concentrated cannabis resin, which is commonly known around the world as hashish. It's usually collected manually directly from the plants, which makes it incredibly potent. And just like ganja, charas is explicitly banned under the NDPS Act. Because of its really high THC concentration, it is strictly prohibited anywhere in India. But wait, here is that biological loophole I promised you. Bhang. Bhang relies mainly on the cannabis leaves and seeds. Remember how the NDPS Act specifically targeted the flowers and resin? Well, because of that, it completely excluded the leaves from its strict definition. Because of this one little exception, state governments actually have the power to regulate it. It's quite the paradox, honestly. You can literally find legally licensed, government-approved bhang shops operating totally out in the open in states like Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. It's treated as a completely separate legal category. Now, let's get into Section 4, penalties by the gram. And spoiler alert, the punishments are strict. Let's look at exactly how the law classifies offenses by weight. For ganja, a small quantity is anything up to 1 kilogram, while a commercial quantity starts at 20 kilograms. Charas, being highly concentrated, has much stricter limits, so a small quantity is just up to 100 grams. Now, this is absolutely vital to understand. Small quantity absolutely does not mean legal. Okay? No amount of ganja or chars is legal for recreational use. The quantity simply dictates just how harsh your punishment is going to be. And let me tell you, the escalation is steep. Caught with a small quantity, you are looking at up to 1 year in jail. An intermediate quantity, basically anything between those small and commercial limits, jumps dramatically to up to 10 years in prison. And commercial quantity offenses, they carry a staggering 10 to 20 years behind bars. The Indian legal system really does not take this lightly. And on top of prison time, there are hefty financial hits. 10,000 rupees. That is the minimum financial fine attached to just a small quantity possession charge, and courts almost always combine this fine with the jail time. For larger, commercial quantities, those fines can easily jump to 1 to 2 lakh rupees. Now, I really want to direct this specifically to any foreign travelers tuning in. Tourists are absolutely not exempt from these laws. Too many travelers assume India is like Thailand, Canada, or Amsterdam. They see bhang being consumed joyfully at a festival and mistakenly believe visible use equals legal protection. It does not. Tourists facing illegal cannabis possession charges can and do face arrest, detention, grueling court proceedings, and deportation. Police frequently raid party areas, beaches, and tourist hotspots. Please do not assume you are protected. Let's shift gears to Section 5, hemp and medical cannabis. This is the evolving legal future of the plant. India is slowly but very surely exploring medical cannabis under incredibly strict government oversight. Several companies, notably in the traditional Ayurvedic space, are formulating actual cannabis-based medicines. These treatments are targeting some really serious conditions. We're talking chronic pain management for when traditional painkillers just fail, alleviating harsh chemotherapy side effects, reducing seizure frequency in epilepsy, and managing severe anxiety. Now, you cannot just walk into a corner pharmacy and buy these. They require strict medical authorization from a doctor, but the sector is undeniably expanding. And then there's industrial hemp, which is essentially building a whole new economy. Hemp contains very, very low levels of THC, so it absolutely won't get you high. States like Uttarakhand, which was actually one of the very first, and Himachal Pradesh are now legally licensing low THC hemp farming. And it is booming. We're seeing sustainable, eco-friendly textiles that are actually stronger than cotton. There's hemp seed oil packed with vitamins for the wellness industry, hemp extracts popping up in skincare products, and even biodegradable, eco-friendly packaging. It's just a massive lucrative sector taking off right now. Naturally, with all this economic activity, public discussion around full recreational legalization is really growing. To impartially review the debate here, supporters argue that a regulated market would drastically reduce illegal trafficking, generate significant tax revenue for things like healthcare and education, and really empower local farmers. But conversely, critics raise highly valid concerns regarding potential addiction risks, increased access for the youth, and overall public safety. Both sides are presenting very compelling arguments in what is an ongoing national conversation. Which brings us to our final thought for today. Will India's cannabis laws continue to evolve? While full recreational legalization certainly isn't on the table just yet, the rapid, exciting growth of the medical and industrial sectors suggests that attitudes are definitely shifting. It's a beautifully intricate web of ancient traditions, very strict NDPS laws, and booming new industries all coexisting. I really hope this explainer helped you untangle it all. Keep learning, stay curious, and thanks so much.